Before we get into this episode, I just want to let you know that 101 Part-Time Jobs is all about supporting and contributing to this culture we love. We want to support alternative and independent artists. We ourselves are an independent podcast, brand, production company. If you wanted to support us, the best way you can do that is to leave a 5-star review on this episode and subscribe to the show. If you're able to do that, that would be amazing. Thank you.
How old were you when you realized you were the son of a president?
I don't think anyone's ever asked me that before.
FX's Love Story. John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette.
I didn't think I could love someone like this until you.
From executive producer Ryan Murphy.
It's not a question of if I want to spend the rest of my life with you. It's if I'm cut out to be Mrs. JFK Jr.
FX's Love Story. John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. Watch now on FX, Hulu, and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
I started doing comedy when I still had an office job. Tech? Yes, I worked in tech for about 6 or 7 years. And so I was like essentially a full-time comedian while I still had my day job.
Yeah.
For about 2 years maybe. So I remember like I did my first TV appearance and then I was like still had my day job for two years.
Damn, what was that?
Mock of the Week. And it was like, okay, great, but this is still not regular enough.
Do other comedians do that? Like some comedians we'll see on Mock the Week, will they have full-time jobs?
Yeah, of course.
Really? Okay.
Of course. And so, I mean, some comedians that you know now have full-time jobs.
That will pay 25 quid to go see.
Yeah. And so I did, okay, timeline-wise, I did my first ever Edinburgh show, I think summer of 2016. By that, I probably had been doing like open mics and stand-up from maybe 2015. And then I quit my job February 2020. I did such a big thing of it. I was like going out on my second tour and I was like, goodbye, fuckers. You're going to see my name in lights. Yeah. And then a couple of months passed and I was like, ruh-oh.
Wait, did you have any awkward times where you talk about work or you just talk about yourself and you'd go into work and be like, you know, Trevor, who sat across the way from you, knows a bit more about you than you'd usually let onto him in day to day?
The thing is, everybody at my job was super chill and they were super supportive. And if anything, some of my first audiences. Oh yeah, I was very lucky. Some of my first audiences were just like my office. Okay. So they were like very, very supportive.
Like they would come along?
Yeah. They were very, very supportive. Cool. And it was, I mean, I think I really capitalized on how chill and cool tech companies want to look and be. And they're like, it's whatever. And it's like, oh, is it really whatever? I'm going to fucking test the limits of how whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then because the pandemic started, I was like, oh my God, I've made a terrible mistake, because obviously the job that I had left my day job to do didn't exist anymore. So then I immediately got like a remote other tech job and did that for a year.
You're very sensible.
I mean, I think I'm always like a plan B person, because I'm always like, this is gonna end. This can end now.
I feel like that's like almost like usually 2 conflicting types of personality traits, to like do the mad thing.
Yeah.
And I know that feeling of like, well, I should have a plan B, but fuck it. I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna go on tour forever.
I just don't believe in myself enough to not have a plan B.
Really?
Like I'm currently doing a PhD, and I simply don't have the time to do it. But a part of me is like, well, the comedy, like it's gonna dry up. It's gonna dry up tomorrow. You need to fall back on something.
That's so interesting. But what about like the people that you work with, like people who rely on you for money, like your agent, your PR, your manager? You're in that system where people make money. People are making a good packet. People are getting a bonus at Christmas and doing nice things. Isn't that a funny position to be in? It's the same with band world.
Yeah.
I suppose because agents have
more
multiple
clients. The way that like
clients.
I guess like music labels, they spread the bet.
Do you think about that a lot?
Like, I'm thinking about it. This is the most existential podcast I've ever been on. I think I have a very complex relationship with sort of creativity and the idea of overstaying my welcome and the idea of only making something creative if I feel like I actually want to do it or it's something that is going to be good, right? And so the sort of pragmatic part of me is like, this is going to end. This is temporary. You have to have a fallback plan. Yeah. But I guess the more romantic, creative part of me is like, I can't live, even if I really do in reality live in a world where my livelihood depends on my creativity, I need to almost cheat myself and think, well, you're actually doing it because you want to, not because you have to. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I mean, this show started as a music show. We're having more and more comedians on because it just makes sense. It's funny how comedians think music's cool and musicians think comedy is cool.
Oh yeah. John Mayer wants to be a stand-up comedian. And to me, that's the funniest thing in the world because every comedian wants to be John Mayer. It's really funny because I was in therapy for a little bit and then I stopped. And then I've sort of, maybe for the first time really as like a stand-up got into therapy. And I was like having my first session with my new therapist and I just sort of like offloaded and they were like, I hope that was okay. I hope like, I mean, and I was like, I feel nothing. I was like, I do this every night to a bunch of strangers. This absolutely feels like nothing to me. So there is like, I guess like a numbness to it that maybe isn't great, but that's what it is.
It's funny now, this kind of like hustle culture
element passive income. If you're not making money off feet pics while you're asleep, you're leaving money on the table. Have
you done any of that stuff? Have you done?
I have yet to do feet, no.
Okay. I did sperm bank.
Okay, I like that.
But I missed the pot. I like missed the jizz pot.
Oh my God. So
like it just went. It went. And it was really embarrassing. And I had to get down on my hands and knees and mop it up. The worst thing about it is that the porn selection, like their in-house Pornhub, it was touch screen.
Oh no, honey.
I mean, obviously it gets like wiped down.
Great name for a gay bar, sperm bank.
What is your relationship with, we're going on all the big questions.
Let's freaking go.
What's your relationship with money like?
Yeah, so I've genuinely written a show about this. It's called Olga Koch Comes From Money. So I did grow up in a wealthy family, and up until I graduated university, my parents took care of me, and then I haven't accepted money from them since university, but obviously they did buy me a flat. So I guess the sort of my financial sort of situation has always been like, if worse comes to worse, I'll be okay. And I think that obviously allows you to make riskier choices in life and do something like freelance stand-up comedy. But I guess also like my day-to-day depends on me. So I don't know. Yeah, I have a very complex relationship in terms of like, I guess when it comes to sort of money and creativity and the idea that like the thing that is meant to be fun is the thing that also feeds you. And like putting that kind of pressure on creativity is very scary.
Yeah.
But also I understand that I'm obviously in an insanely privileged situation. And there is like any panic I've ever had about money is never like, it's never truly that extreme.
And that's the thing about your show. I know the show obviously Olga Koch Comes From Money. And like the point that you're making by titling it that is that everyone should be able to talk about money.
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be the people talking about money because they're struggling with it, and the people benefiting will be like, well, we don't need to talk about that because we're fine. It's a kind of like kick the ladder away Tory kind of thing.
Yeah, and I guess it's something that came up when I was at my corporate job, which is like salary transparency was such a huge thing because so many people were like, well, it's actually like bad manners, it's uncouth. And then it's like when you find out that people in the same position have different salaries and the only people benefiting from are the people up top. So
for sure. The thing about living in London is that you need money to do everything.
We say that about London. I just visited New York. Dude, you can't sit down for less than $25. Like the only way to sit down is to buy a bagel for $19 and sit down on a bench.
So it's worse than London.
Yeah.
Because London, you can still sit out there.
And I guess like we have little parks like dotted around.
Some of them are private though. I've got a gripe with the private. There's some gardens over there.
Or the fake public spaces like Cold Drops Yard or something where you're like, this looks like public space, but it's really not. It's monitored. Like they have their own police force that's just like the Cold Drops Yard police force.
Yeah.
One of my biggest gripes is fake public spaces. Fuck fake public spaces. Fuck them. So I was like very into the music scene when I went to university in New York, and I like interned at a bunch of music labels. The biggest news stories, for some reason that stuck with me, that really was like, whoa, this is fucked up. I remember Grizzly Bear
Yeah.
headlining Radio City Music Hall, and the headline was that like 3 of the members didn't have health insurance. And you're just like, what? How much more can you possibly do as a musician than headline and sell out Radio City Music Hall? Like how the fuck does this add up?
Music industry makes it sound a lot worse than the comedy industry.
Yes and no. I don't know if comedy has the capacity to make the kind of money that musicians can. Sort of the highs is high, not as high, but maybe the lows aren't as low. I guess the one comforting thing about stand-up, and it's also something that I guess the second you leave stand-up, you start to miss, is this idea that if worse comes to worse, if nobody backs me, I can still go out and make 80 quid, 100 quid doing 20 minutes at a club.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, people don't realize how much of doing stand-up is just that. So like, you'll do Live at the Apollo, right? And then, but that will be like a one-off. But then most of your calendar or diary, and maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe some comedians will be like, girl,
you fucking it, you're
what
blowing
are
it.
you doing? But it's like, but then you'll be doing a basement pub in Kent. And that's most of it.
Do you do a lot of stuff, or have you felt like you need to do stuff for exposure, which happens a lot for musicians?
Baby.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
101 jobs.
Yeah.
The podcast.
Yeah.
I'm here for exposure.
But I mean, have you
I'd
worked?
say most TV appearances are for exposure.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a strange thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. 100%. The answer is yes. I guess I can even... You get booked on Mock the Week. That is like the greatest day of your life. That's so fucking cool. I remember when I did it, I think the fee was £1,000. So I think 15% goes to your agent. Then you are encouraged to hire at least 2 writers, because everybody has writers writing for them. So a writer's fee would be something like probably like £200.
Okay.
And so that's, if you hire 2 writers, that's £400. So that's £400 plus 15% for your agent. Then you are probably buying a nice outfit for it. You don't have to, and maybe someone will lend you an outfit, but you'll probably buy a nice outfit for it. And then fundamentally you will walk away with a couple of £100. And while, I mean, maybe that's not bad, but it is a full day of work that you also wrote for. And like, it's not like you're getting booked multiple times. You're probably doing an episode, right? And then maybe you that's like, once every 6 months, maybe. And so fundamentally, that is not a sustainable way to make money. But on the other hand, I guess you will get the eyeballs. And then if you have a tour on, maybe the people will buy tour tickets if you did well on the episode. But in terms of like the TV work itself being the money maker, in many situations, that's not the case at all. Some things you just do because you do want to have
be there.
fun and you want to be there.
What do you want to do? Dream job, dream scenario.
I do like the idea of science communication. I do like the idea of marrying comedy and technology. And I've done a couple of projects that were kind of like that before. And I guess I would love to do more of that.
Yeah.
Just because I think comedy as a tool to learn things is one of the most effective. Like everything I know about American politics, I know from as a teenager watching The Daily Show and The Colbert Report back to back as an hour every night. And I was like, I know everything about Congress. And it's like, why the fuck does this teenage girl who's from Russia know about the American Congress? And it's because it's like, those shows were so funny.
It very effectively delivers a message.
Yeah. And like so many, even when you think about podcasts, so many podcasts teach you things, but they're hosted by either funny people or comedians.
Yeah. You did your
But
paper
you're
on
laughing.
the parasocial relationship.
Yeah.
Was that before you were big on Instagram? When
It
you wrote
was-
that paper? Had you experienced much of being the other end of the parasocial?
Yeah, that's what got me to do it. I was very hyper aware of being parasocial with other people, like sort of thinking that I had a relationship with people I did not know.
You're a believer.
And I still do. Huge believer.
Who are you into? Who were your reply guy to?
I wouldn't say I'm a believer. I was like huge. Obviously, every comedian under the sun, I thought I had a personal relationship with. Mitski in music. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, no, like you're listening to Mitski, but I'm listening to Mitski. So a lot of, and I guess like huge Swiftie, have that thing with Taylor Swift, obviously. And so I was very hyper aware of having that. And then I felt maybe a little bit being on the other side of it. And that transition was so palpable to me because I was always so hyper aware of this relationship. And the fact that I transitioned from being on one side to the other side while still being on the Swiftie side still.
Yeah.
I think like being so hyper aware of it is the thing that made me want to study it.
It's confusing, I imagine.
Yeah. I think I started out really judging people. Even though I was sort of like kind of in denial about being a person who does that myself.
Yeah.
But then I was like kind of judging. I was like, are you delusional? Are you delusional? Do you really think you know these people? And then the second I started interviewing them, I was like, no, that makes perfect sense. If you see someone's face every day.
You're interviewing them?
Yeah, for my thesis. And I was like, if you see someone's face every single day on Instagram and they're like doing pictures on their toilet and you know the name of their dog, it's like 30 years ago, that would only be a friend or family member. So it makes perfect sense that your brain's like, well, if you know what they look like, I don't know, without makeup, or like their dad just died, maybe they're a friend. That makes more sense than you knowing that much information about a complete stranger.
How much do you split your time between doing a PhD now and your comedy?
Now more comedy, and I think my PhD is suffering for it. Sorry, academia.
You got your talk coming up.
Yes.
Fat Tom Cruise.
Fat Tom Cruise.
Can you tell us what it's about?
Well, I'm describing it as a part gossip session, part horror story, part history lesson. And it's a show that happens across both present-ish day and the 1970s.
Late 70s? Early 70s?
Mid to late 70s and the women's rights movement in the United States.
Right.
And then just my experiences at university in the 2000s.
How do you make that funny?
Oh boy, you tell me. I guess I think some of my experiences are quite funny, and I hope that will sail us through.
When you're about to go on a tour, I mean, usually there's like a synopsis, right, of like what's like Olga Koch comes from money. Yeah. Kind of knew what you were going to be talking about there. Even from what you described then, I still wouldn't know what to expect. Oh
God, I really need to learn how to, because I think I don't want to do any spoilers, but I also need to learn how to market the show, and I'm doing it in real time.
This is R&D right here.
Hopefully you'll meet Fat Tom Cruise and you'll love him. Please don't send me a cease and desist, Tom Cruise. Thank you very much.
I mean, that could happen.
And that will give me so much press.
Have you got a lawyer?
No.
101. Most of you watching or listening to this will know someone, if it's not yourself, who plays in a band, puts out music, and are sometimes confused about the way it works. Well, DistroKid is here to help. Now, as well as being able to put out your music, you can get your t-shirts printed there. You can create a merch store in minutes, no upfront costs. DistroKid takes care of all the printing, shipping and support, so you don't get waylaid by the logistics, and you can focus more on writing and putting out good music, right? And just like the distribution, DistroKid never takes a cut, and the artists, you keep 100% of your earnings. It's that simple. Head to distrokid.com/direct. Select the type of products that you want. You can get mugs, shirts, tote bags, and then pick up your album artwork and the price that you want to sell your merch for. Head to distrokid.com/direct.
Like, I think one of the most soul-crushing experiences of my entire life, and I'm so grateful that they hired me, and I'm so grateful for the fee. And God, in lockdown, every comedian was very, very happy to do any old gig. But I remember I did a corporate in lockdown, which means that I was just sent into, I mean, I literally sweat falling down my back right now as I'm telling you about this. They're like, do you want to do our Christmas party? I was like, of course I'll do your Christmas party. Also, Christmas corporates usually pay quite well. So you're like, I'll do it. Doesn't fucking matter. And I did not read the fine print. And the idea was that because everybody was working from home because it was COVID, I went into the office that was like basically empty. They put me into a conference room and I had to perform to a completely empty conference room with everybody had their mics muted. So I honestly felt crazy because I had to keep stopping for laughs that weren't there. Yeah. And it felt like I was giving like, from the outside, you're looking through the glass wall. You're just watching a woman.
Did you see them? Did you have?
I couldn't see anything.
A gallery view.
I mean, some of them, but there was like loads of people. Some of them had their cameras on. Most of them, obviously, camera off, mic off. Yeah. And it's just me, just doing dick jokes into the ether. It felt like doing a gig in space. You know what I mean? I think it's one of those things where you just have to decide for yourself that this is what this is.
Yeah, you've committed it.
It's one of those things where like the second you acknowledge it, then it just becomes the whole thing.
And time must go very slowly.
When you like know what your 5 minutes is, in your head, your 5 minutes is 5 minutes with laughs built in. And it's very quick that your 5 minutes becomes a 2.5 minutes. And then you're there for, you've been contractually obliged to do 40. And then you realize that means that's about 80 minutes of jokes.
Have you had it where you've like built a joke and you're like, I know the beats to this joke, but it just didn't go the way to plan?
Oh my God, it happens all the time. Okay. It happens all the time. And especially when it's like written down or you have it in you and you could tell in your face, you're so excited. You can't wait to say it out loud. And you could see it on your face that you're doing the rhythm and and you do the pause and you're like, oh no. At some point you've bombed enough times that bombing doesn't even feel like anything anymore. But even in the situation where you're trying a joke at the Bill Murray and it doesn't work, at least you could go, oh, well, that didn't go well. And then people laugh at that. And then you kind of sort of can play with the self-awareness of it and sort of have a rapport with the audience and be self-aware and acknowledge it. You can't do that in a conference room, honey, when there's no one there.
But also and this is, I feel like it's a bit of a cheat code to life. If you can fucking fall on the ground and get back up every time, you're going to have a better life. So that's like a nice cheat code to like having a good, valuable, enjoyable life, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because most people are terrified of, but like, that's like the worst thing anyone can think of. You know, some people are too embarrassed to go up to the shop counter.
I think people underestimate, and this is, oh God, but people underestimate how much, not always, but in certain situations, how much, what's the word that I'm looking for? Not good fortune,
Goodwill.
There we go. Goodwill.
My whole life is built off collecting goodwill.
Yeah, well, goodwill you get if you fail charmingly.
It's different from sympathy, isn't it? It's different to sympathy.
The goodwill, but it's like at my 30th birthday, I had a roast. First of all, I absolutely loved it. It's so fucking cool and funny to have people roast you. But another part of me was like, I'm really being a really good sport about it, aren't I? And I bet everybody's looking at me and thinking she's being a real good sport about all these jokes. And so, I don't know. I think you can look very strong laughing at yourself because that means that you're secure enough in yourself that a joke can't hurt you. So a failure can't hurt you.
But if I feel like it's like that song that's at the end of every Jackass episode where it's like, if you're going to be tough, you got to be dumb. No, the other way around. If you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough. Because at some point it's going to get you.
It's so charming when people can like acknowledge that they fucked up or, oh my God, that was, ugh, look at me. Like that's endears people to you.
I trust someone who can be like, I don't know what that means.
Yes. There is nothing cooler than someone's like, sorry, I don't know.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than pretending you do.
And surely that person is going to learn more. That person will end up like 75, 85 years old, probably smarter. He'll be like that guy in Big Fish that's read that massive book.
I don't know that reference. I mean, I know it's a Tim Burton film, but I have not seen it.
Thanks, Olga. Appreciate your chat.
I'm off to watch Big Fish.
Big Fish is a great film. Cheers for watching. This is 101 Part-Time Jobs. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, and all podcast apps. We've done interviews with Aurora, Kneecap, Idols, Lauren Maybury of Churches, and loads more. So tap into 101 Part-Time Jobs on Spotify, Apple, and all podcast apps.